Hello, this is Barbie Baptiste Gardner with Mommy Sense, Mastering Our Maze to Success. How are you? I hope you are having an amazing Father's Day, celebrating an amazing father, or if you are a father, happy Father's Day. Okay, so the difference between a limiting belief and the stories that we tell ourselves. I wrote some notes down because I want to make sure that this is very clear because they're very similar but completely different. Okay, so let's go. A limiting belief, for example, is if you were on a diet. If you're on a diet and you cheated on the diet, you ate something really great that you weren't supposed to have. So your limiting belief would be this, I'm done, I cheated. This is over. It's not going to work. The diet is done. Okay. The story, a limiting story that you might have for yourself is diets don't work for me. I have never been successful at them. I can't lose weight. I'll always have this weight on me. There's nothing that I can do to change this. Okay. The difference between those two things is a limiting belief is an idea, okay? You have that about that specific thing. A story is a beginning, middle, and an end. In our example, the diet. The diet is, your story is, you're not going to be successful at this diet. The middle is, it's not going to work for you. You're going to cheat or the weight is not going to come off. That's the middle of your story. And the conclusion of your story is you're going to fail. The diet will not work for you. Even if you stay on task, the results are not going to be what you need because you and diets are not in alignment. Okay, so that's a story, a complete thing. Now, if you have these stories, they're very, very powerful. If we didn't have that story, if we had a different story with this example, I want to be my healthier self. I am determined to do it. This is my plan for myself. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. Whatever works. My goal is to be my healthiest self. That's a different story. So if you cheat on your diet, with alignment of that new story, you'll say, this didn't work, this was not a good day, but my goal is still to be my healthiest self. I'm either going to start over and forgive myself for this, or I'm going to try something else that works for me a little better. Okay, so the stories are really important. Now, the story, let's see, with business. The story with business can be something like, this business is a limiting belief, a limiting belief could be that this business, is not good for me. It's not working. If your dream is to open a store. So this store, it's not working. I'm not good at this. Okay. The story you tell yourself could be that, I'm not made up to do this. I don't know how to own a store. That I'm not good enough to do that. That works for some people. That doesn't work for me. That would be your story that you tell yourself. Okay. So the best way to combat that is to change your story. So it might be true that something is not working for you. It might be true that that type of a store is not in alignment with what is best for you. But if you have a story that tells you that you're incapable, then you've already written your conclusion and it's not going to work. So the story is so important. Now, we can have stories also with people. All the time. People can have a story about us and then you wonder why you keep butting heads, or we can have a story about someone else and not realize that we have that. So, for example, with my ex, I have a story that we are raising successful young men. We are raising them in an environment of love and happiness. Now, that's not always the case, but because that's the story that I've given this, if we have a bad moment, a bad situation where we're not in agreement with one another, I am able to isolate that event, put it down. That doesn't mean it doesn't upset me or affect me. I'm able to put that down and know this event is not in alignment with my story. This is my story. My story is peace and harmony, progression for our children. That's my story, and I'm sticking to that story. And, God bless this little situation that happened, and let's stick to the story. Okay, now we can have really, really good stories. So today is Father's Day. In honor of Father's Day, I will talk about my two fathers, my father and my grandfather. My father passed away when he was 49 years old, and my grandfather lived to be 91 years old. So they were both entrepreneurs, and my father owned a liquor store. My parents, excuse me. But my father was an entrepreneur. My mother worked in education. And he also owned a laundromat. So I would see highs and lows, as an entrepreneur, business owner. I would see, and real estate as well. So I would see, really high points and then it being very challenging for him. My grandfather, he had a janitorial service. He taught himself how to trade stocks when he was in his 60s. He was successful. He made, $1 million with that, and he lost a lot of money with that as well. But, the point is, he tried new things even when he was 60 years young, and he lived until he was 91 years old. So the story that I tell myself in regards to my father and grandfather are, I'm cut from the same cloth. I'm an entrepreneur. They had highs and lows, but they were successful. That was the men that they were. And, I'm just like them. So when I see challenges as an entrepreneur, that's my story. I relate to that story. I'm not knocked out by the things that, come at me, because that's my story. So make sure that, the blessing is we write our own stories. It doesn't matter what you've experienced. You can say today, this is my story. This is what I choose. This is the type of relationship I choose to have. This is the kind of person I want to be. You are the author of your story, which is amazing. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, so have an amazing rest of your day. This is Barbie Baptiste Gardner with Mommy Sense, Mastering Our Maze to Success.